What is going on, everybody? It is Sammy here from Built to Thrill, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than I've yet to do. So today we're actually going to be doing a top 10 countdown of my top 10 favorite backyard roller coasters. Now, just remember, this is my personal opinion, so you do not have to follow this in any way. There is no factual evidence here. This is just kind of like my personal top 10, and I'm not including mine just because I think that'd be unfair, and I really want to show off what I personally think some of the coolest and most impressive backyard coasters are. But like I said, they're all impressive, and I'm just excited to show all these off. Before we get into the video, I'd like to show you quickly what our merch shop is. This will help support the channel and our future projects. Our merch shop includes some cool Built to Thrill designs and Shadow Soccer designs. Please be sure to check this out in the description below. Thank you so much and enjoy the video. So, kicking it off at the number 10 spot, we have Matterhorn Alpine Escape, built by the team over at Magic Texture. Now, this coaster features a lift hill, goes around a mountain and in a mountain, and it goes under a bridge, which honestly, this is probably one of the coolest ones in the list, and the only reason I didn't make it higher was because of the fact that they built another one, which we'll get to later. Now, the number 9 spot goes to an original backyard roller coaster called the Termite. The Termite was built by an American coaster enthusiast back in 1989 and features a lot of cool elements that were never really seen on other backyard roller coasters to date. This coaster features a drop, then a turn, then a low to the ground turn, then a couple trick tracks into a shed. The American coaster enthusiast who built this actually built other roller coasters and started a company off of it. Taking the number 8 spot, we have Torque XLC, built by Parker Lofty, and this coaster is just crazy. It whips you over that airtime hill and goes into that spike, all using an air compressed launch, similar to how S&S uses it. This one needed to make the list because of just how wild this thing is. Next on the list, at number 7, we have the Forest Rumbler, which is built by my good friend Tommy Bowers over at DCT Backyard Coasters. And this coaster just looks awesome. It has a drop, 2 hills, and a turn, and a spike, which is just crazy to have in one layout. I love shuttle coasters personally because that's the kind of coasters I build. And this one looks to give some pretty good floater airtime, and just a fun ride in general. Tommy has extended the layout of his coaster multiple times, and right now is in the works to build a brand new one in a whole new location, which will be full circuit. Can't wait. Coming in at number 6, we have Minotaur, built by David Chesney, and this one is definitely one of the most complex coasters I've ever seen in a backyard. This coaster features 2 winches, one on the top of each spike, so you can start the coaster on either side of the coaster, which is very cool. And it also features a whole control panel, which can tell where the car is and start the coaster when you need. The layout of Minotaur consists of 2 spikes and 2 airtime hills, which seem to give a lot of airtime as in the video. Starting off our top 5 is a coaster from New Zealand, which surprisingly, yes, this is a backyard roller coaster, and this video is posted by Paul Gregg, and the coaster was built by someone in New Zealand named Trevor, and I believe that this is probably the most professional backyard roller coaster ever built. The only reason this isn't higher is just because there's not enough information on it, but some of the stats include a 90-degree drop. Yes, a 90-degree drop on a backyard roller coaster. There's 4 people that are allowed to be in the car at a time. There are multiple helixes on the ride, and this ride has like a pneumatic brake system. It has everything that a real roller coaster has. I almost consider this a real roller coaster, but it is still a backyard roller coaster. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have probably the most famous backyard roller coaster, which is the Blue Flash. And the Blue Flash was built by John Ivers over in Ohio. And this coaster was actually moved over to a haunted house named Haunted Hoochie just a couple years back. I'm not 100% sure if it still runs, but it is definitely the craziest backyard roller coaster because of that loop, and it pulls a lot of G's. Starting off our top 3, we have the Speed Cult roller coaster, also known as the Roaster Coaster, which is probably the craziest backyard coaster to ever exist. This coaster may just look like 2 spikes, but the car is actually flipping like an SNS 40 free spin, which is completely insane because you're probably flipping a lot more than an SNS 40 free spin because it's a lot more compact, and there's a winch to pull it up. So I think this might just be one of the craziest backyard roller coasters, and it gets its name because of the fire going around it. Roaster Coaster. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have what I consider the best backyard wooden coaster, Oklahoma Land Run. Oklahoma Land Run was built by Jeremy Reed and has probably one of the craziest stories of a backyard roller coaster. It started off with a drop and a spike, and then he turned that spike into a hill, and then later turned that after the hill into a turn, and then he built a lift hill and then moved the lift hill. It's just a crazy story in general. And this coaster features a 21-foot tall drop into probably one of the craziest airtime moments on a backyard roller coaster, with some bunny hops here and there into a turnaround and then back into the station. It also has a chain lift and has some kind of braking system, I heard. Jeremy Reed actually retired this coaster a couple years ago and is probably going to do another one, but not to this scale. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot, we have what I consider the best backyard roller coaster ever made, which is Little Thunder, built by, again, the Magic Texture team, and they went all out with this roller coaster. They have a whole station with a control panel, which puts you into a launch and a lift hill at different points of the ride, featuring multiple helixes, drops, and other kind of cool elements that go around a mountain and in a mountain and in mines with an animatronic included. This is just the craziest backyard roller coaster ever made. I don't know how they put all this into one roller coaster, but it worked out so perfectly and it looks awesome. They actually also turned their entire backyard into a western town, so it feels like you're really immersed in the experience, just like Disney. They give you a little handgun when you ride, which also helps you figure out when you're gonna launch, because you can hit the target and that's when you launch, which is just crazy. And the theming on this is just insane. It has so much as you're going through the ride and before the ride. And they even dress up like some of the characters to make it feel like you're even more into the experience. If you guys liked today's video, then please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you'll never miss another video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.